how much has marketing as a foundation competency have been proliferating in today's workforce, in perhaps in progressive?
Um, well, in progressive, I mean, I like to think that marketing is becoming one of the critical skills to business in general. Um, I think as businesses transition more lean and new business models, a marketing skill set I think not only helps you in the work that you deliver, but it also helps you in the way that you market yourself as a business person and even within your own business or within part of a bigger company. I think as far as kind of a global trend, my mom would have said banker, doctor, lawyer all the way. Those are the things that are going to never go away. They're always going to be stable. And I think, I'm happy to say, Mom, I think you're kind of wrong. Those are very important roles, especially in these times. Don't get me wrong, but they're also very specialized roles. They don't allow you the flexibility of transitioning from one industry to another, or even necessarily one job to another as easily and as readily. And if I think back to, my parents typically had one or two jobs in their lifetime. Their parents typically had, one or two jobs. Our parents had worked for one or two companies in their lifetime. We'll have multiple careers in our lifetime. You might be in telco one day, you might be in a completely different industry another day, and that's just going to become exponential as things evolve. So I think marketing is a foundational skill set. It's critical. Pay attention to that in school all day long. Learn how to apply that, whether it's your personal brand, as a social influencer, I see you there, Rano, or whether you do it within your career path. It's going to be something that will serve you very, very well and help you to kind of reinvent yourself in your career over time. As far as the telco industry, and this probably applies to other industries, when I started in telco, they were all very engineering driven. Everything was about technology, about what infrastructure was invested in, how it was managed, that sort of thing. Over time, as the economic pressure grew on return on investment and competition grew, that pressure turned them from engineering-led companies into finance-led companies. All they watched was the bottom line. Sweat the assets, maximize the return on investment, and that was everything. Over the past few years, I'm very glad to say I've seen that transition in a lot of telcos to being marketing-driven. And that means that the consumer's winning. So you can't engineering would just build the technology, they'll find a way to use it. Finance-led means we'll price it how you want because you're going to pay it. And marketing turns that more into there's good competition now, customers have a choice, we've got to innovate, we've got to do things differently, we've got to create products and services people want. So I see that's not going to be a trend just in telco, that's going to be a trend anywhere, especially as they start facing increased competition.
It's from Eugenia Chiu, right? Have you ever thought that you would ever be in your current state back when you were younger? When you were a child, what was your actual dream occupation?
Okay. I've had a lot of careers in my life. Telco's been the prime for a long time. I've always had side things. My family and I had a restaurant in the US. We had a building construction for a period of time. A study abroad program that a partner of mine owned in Central America. So I've always had kind of multiple things. So I've never known where I would picture myself, but I've always had goals of things I wanted to do. Travel was a big one since I was a kid. I always wanted to live and work in Asia, and I always wanted to have a C in front of my title. So I'm actually a little nervous that I've done all three of those things now. I don't really have a big vision of what's going to happen next. So no, I didn't picture the details, obviously. But these are all things that I have had as goals. So, like I said earlier, if you have the idea there and you have the ecosystem there, it's just understanding how to connect the dots. So when this opportunity came up, did it come up because I've been putting energy into it for years? Or did it come up because I was open to it in the first place? Or did it just come up naturally and I just was in a place to be able to jump on it? Difficult to say.
So, Devin, one very important aspect that I've picked up is you didn't study telco whatever it may mean.
No, no.
So
I went to
for everyone.
I went to architecture school. I was an art major for a little while, and then I studied business, marketing and management, but never telco. I didn't learn telco. I started off working in advertising agencies, and then we had a telco client who initially hired me just to do kind of branding and communication for them, and then it evolved into much broader over time.
Wow, Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a few more questions, but because I hold the mic, I'm going to ask my own question. I think this would be very interesting.
Okay.
Give us some good story about working for Disney or Coca Cola or HP or Mattel. Okay, let me narrow it down. Disney or Coke. Give me some good stories.
Okay, we'd vote if we had time. Coke was earlier in my career, so Coke was early in my advertising days. And the only real story I've got there is when my client got fired because she had a bottle of water that she brought to the office that was a Pepsi product. Fired her on the spot. So that was actually what very quickly ended my Coke career, because my client got fired, therefore no more work to do. So that's not the big thing. But Disney was a much different animal.
Right. What do you learn?
So I was working at an agency in Orlando, Florida, and obviously Disney World is there and Disneyland is in California. And we had done a lot of work for Disney World in Orlando. We branded what is called, it's their college program, where they take college students from all over the world and they come to Disney to work and live and kind of experience the park, and it's an exchange program they have. Well, a lot of that was actually an HR and kind of a recruiting job. So it got the California project, where Disney in California was looking to expand from their small park to a big multi-park. And the whole objective was people at Disney World stay for a week, people at Disneyland come for a day. Oh. We want to create an opportunity for people to stay for 3 days at Disneyland. So they planned it all out. They designed the parks. They bought the land. They had everything in construction. And then somebody put their hand up in a meeting one day and said, we haven't thought about staffing yet. So they hadn't thought about how they're going to hire to staff 2 additional parks in Southern California during a time where they had the lowest unemployment rate in history. So they called us because of all the good work we'd done in Orlando. And next thing you know, I'm basically living 3 weeks out of the month in California, and trying to help them figure out how to hire 16,000 people over a 5-week period of time. Oh. So that's in and of itself was a huge project. But my favorite thing about
like Disneyland and fun.
I'll boil this down to the one thing about Disney that I loved is they had their own culture for everything. I mean, everything. They don't point with one finger, they point with 2. They do all sorts of crazy things. But one thing that they did in office, which I loved, is they really respected people's private time. Because if you work in an open floor plan, it's easy to get disturbed and distracted. So they issued everybody a red baseball cap. And it was just known that if you had your red baseball cap on, you were having your quiet time. Leave them alone. You couldn't talk to them, you couldn't disturb them, that sort of thing. And it was one of those things that I just kind of will probably keep with me forever, of those little things that you can do to kind of have your quiet time or impact your culture in your business.